Hola, Minasan! Welcome back for another round of One Piece. Last time, um, Nami was getting shafted by Usopp's triple baton until she figured out a convoluted way of becoming Storm from the X-Men and stopping Miss Doublefinger and winning the battle. Then Zolo took on Mr. One and decided to push himself to the limits and learned the riddle of steel, what it means to what the riddle of steel means. He went full epic in the final panel, and it looks like he won. It looks like he won, but we're not sure. We're just gonna have to find out what happened. so, mm, let's not waste any time and let's get reading. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, chapter 196. 1. Please wait, Lord Chaka! The soldier screamed out as the door slammed open, and Lord Chaka blocked everyone out and left only himself with Princess V staring down Sir Crocodile. Sir Crocodile took a long puff of his cigar as he and Robin stared down their opponents while everyone watched quietly. Ugh, who are you? You're the Kicking Claw Force! Baby screamed out. And Robin stretched her fingers, making her knuckles crack as she was ready to make a move. Don't, Sir Crocodile said. Ugh, do not lay a hand on this man. Meanwhile, the crowd outside screamed out at the castle. The Kicking Claw Force got the gate open. They're the King's elite fighters. Save the King and Princess Baby. And there stood the Kicking Claw Force. King Cobra, it is our duty to protect you. We have no choice but to draw swords. If that man is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, we will use any means to defeat him, said the other one with the puffy beard. The first one had a triangle pointed chin, and the rest of them stood at all 4. The Kicking Claw Force, elite royal guards of Alabasta. One was fat and chubby. The other was long and slender. Behind him was a dual wielding staff axe fighter, and the bushy bearded one. Standing with muscles, with bulging muscles. The one with the bird head spoke. We will deal with him. And the dual wielder behind him spoke. Personally. It's a whole lot of characters here. They all just came out of nowhere for some weird reason. And completely unprepared. Sir Crocodile took a puff of his smoke. Ugh, you seem to be quite popular, but I'll let you off. Go home. That is not possible. It's impossible for us to turn the back. They said. Impossible? Crocodile replied. If you are the mastermind behind the rebellion, then we must destroy you. And muscles flexed and veins bulged out. And Chaka screamed out, Darsh March, don't tell me you. Shall I? Robin said. Ugh, don't bother. They're vermin. And they charged at him with hash marks all along their arms up to their shoulders. Their weapons, their brandished weapons, wound up for a strike, and they screamed together, "Grah!" and that's when the king said, "It can't be." And suddenly, as they got closer and closer, Vivi screamed out, "Chaka! What's wrong with them?" Chaka replied, "In order to achieve temporary superpowers, those four drank a lethal potion. They drank the fatal fuel, known as oh dang. Dang. I forgot the name of that drink from Logan Paul. I forgot the Logan Paul drink name. They drank the fatal fuel by Logan Paul. They only have a few minutes to live. They can't be saved. No. Crocodile laughed. I suspected as much. You sacrificed your lives to challenge me, eh? Lord Chaka, the bushy bear once said, please forgive us for taking matters into our own hands, but this villain must be made to fear the pain our kingdom has suffered. Sir Crocodile just looked unimpressed, took a long sigh as Chaka screamed out, "You fools!" And the bushy beard continued, "This man must fear alabasters." Wrath! Wrath! He screamed out with tears in his eyes, and suddenly, the crocodile disappeared in a puff of sand. Their strikes completely pierced the air. There was nothing there, and they all looked around, and the crocodile chuckled again, and took a long puff of his cigar. Ugh, not too smart. He sat down at the top of the roof. Don't take life for granted, but I suppose it's too late now. If you're going to die anyway, why should I bother to fight you? You fools. And everyone stood up there, stood still and watched him, just waiting for them to be finished. He's not even going to fight. And the four started shivering as the potion wore off. Blood splurted out of their mouths and they collapsed to their knees. That friend, Chaka said, as each of them slowly collapsed. No, Chaka. Well, who's laughing? Oh, I guess that's Sir Crocodile. That's a very bad panel. Oh, that's a very bad panel. Oh, that is Chaka. He's transforming. Interesting. Okay. That threw me off. That panel threw me off, so it's fine. As Chaka started transforming, he heard Sir Crocodile scream out, "This is the height of stupidity, you fools!" And all four of them collapsed dead. And Chaka, fully transformed into some kind of jackal-like wolf, charged the gates where Sir Crocodile is, and Phoebe screamed out, "Chaka, you're fiend!" And the king screamed out, "Chaka, stop! Don't you throw your life away too." Sir Crocodile noticed. Ugh, soul and type. and Chaka screamed out, "But fruit jackal mode." I was right, it was jackal. "Holly fangs!" He swung at the Sir Crocodile, who turned into sand just as the blades passed right through him. It was a full force, but it wasn't enough. As Sir Crocodile smiled, "Ugh, will you die for your king as well?" And he took a long puff of his smoke. Meanwhile, back at the main street, the wind laughed out loud. Ooh. And Mr. One spoke. "You actually improved over the course of this battle. Are you going to and he collapsed onto his knees. Cut through a diamond next. And Zolo dropped down to one knee, and he replied, "That will be such a waste." You got me. And he collapsed. Alabama North Block, Medi Assembly Hall, the Battle of the Main Street. The winner was Zolo, as he was covered in blood, and it poured down all throughout his body, while one collapsed face first onto the rubble. Gasp. Zolo said, "Darn, I've lost too much blood. The wound isn't deep, but it really hurts. So very badly. I want to say ouch, but I don't know what that word means. I wonder," he thought to himself, "how the others are doing. Did Nami get away? I hope no one's been killed. I wish I knew what happened. Let me go to sleep now." What? I'm teaming up with eyelashes now? Why? And as Solo collapsed and closed his eyes, Usopp screamed out, "What? I'm teaming up with eyelashes? But he's a camel. You know I need all the help I can get." And Sanji puffed out his smoke in anger. "You drew the short straw. Live with it. All right, but promise me one thing." Usopp pointed at him before bowing. "If we get into a pinch, please come to our rescue." And he bowed even further down. "I only rescue women, fool." "Usopp," he said. "Why are you crying?" "Me? Crying? You're the one who's crying." Usopp said, lying down, completely bandaged like a mummy in tears, and tied down onto Eyelash's saddle. "Not." But Chopper says he rode on top of Eyelash's hair. "That old mole. She said Luffy was dead." Usopp cried as Chopper looked back. Is it true?" "Don't tell me you guys believed it." Sanji started picking up speed and started running. "As if I believed it. Are you stupid?" "Yeah, me too. I didn't believe it for an instant," Chopper replied. "Of course you didn't. We need to get to the palace as soon as possible, so suck it up." And as they continued on, as the crowd outside roared, "Rah! Until we put an end to this war," Sanji screamed out. They managed to meet up with What is this, a flashback? I guess it's a flashback. Yeah, it's a flashback. So in the flashback, Vivi is with the crew, and she says, "Thank you guys. It's a little early for thanks," Zola said. "Oh, he died," Nami said, smiling, making the sign for money. "Besides, if I want to take a pirate, you've got to show us the goods." "Hey!" Usopp screamed out. "Hasn't this kingdom been squeezed enough?" And the flashback ended as Nami snapped out of her memories, and she looked down at Miss Doublefinger with the batons in hand. "Sheesh, I finally got it untangled. This was the one-shot wonder," she said as she looked at the coil of the bird at the end of her baton attack, and she can hear the roar of the fight grew louder and echoing across the streets. "Rah!" She looked up. "The rebels are just around the corner." And around the corner they were, as they continued firing and slashing each other, killing each other, one after another. Horses riding and shotguns reloaded, swords picked up and brandished. Nami started walking away. "The situation has changed. I better head for the palace." And in her flashback, she remembered. She remembered what Sanji said. But just remember one thing, baby. After a fight, Luffy can really put away the food. Okay. And Luffy screamed out, "I'll be waiting for you, dude, in Alabama." Okay. As for and that's when they started rolling in together. This feels weird. This feels very weird. Um, this chapter feels weird. uh, this chapter is completely all over the place. It's throwing me off completely. This is a terribly written, terribly done chapter. All right, here we go. The flashback continued where the Duck Squad stood outside Alabama, and Solo said, "All right, it's do or die, so don't screw up. Let's go. We'll meet at the palace." As they rode on, and as the flashback ended, Sanji saw Usopp fall onto the ground screaming in pain from his injuries as he waited for eyelashes and Chopper to stop. Nami continued running through the streets, and Zolo laid out face first, unconscious, as the war continued inside the city, and the wind laughed at everybody. Ooh. As the palace guards screamed out, "Lord Chaka, this is a bad dream. How could this be? The rebels are advancing on our flank." And Vivi screamed out, "Chaka!" The king grimaced, "Ugh." And there was the hook, covered in blood, dripping a drop at a time. And Sir Crocodile, with his arms stretched out, stood over Lord Chaka's bloodied body. "Ugh, weakness is an unforgivable sin." "Phoebe." "Huh?" She looked back. As the clock ticked, 25 minutes had passed. The palace square time until the explosion. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, chapter 197, The Leaders. "Koza!" Vivi screamed out as Sir Crocodile looked down while standing before Lord Chaka's bloodied body, and the king let out a sigh. You used the secret passage." And there was Koza standing there with absolute anger, fists shaking, bruises and scuff marks all over his body. Are my eyes deceiving me? I came to visit the royal army, but instead, huh?" And that's when he noticed so many bodies lying around. And he closed his eyes. Chaka, with his arms wide open. The king was silent. So Robin smiled, and Vivi was grimacing in sadness. "I found the king being killed by our national hero. This can't be happening." "Ha ha ha!" Sir Crocodile laughed out loud from high above. "What an interesting development. We're right in the middle of a rebellion, and here we have the leaders of the two sides coming face to face. Why, this war is nothing more than a lot of headless chickens flogging each other to death." Koza looked up at Sir Crocodile, confused by his remark. "Confused?" Robin said. "It's actually quite simple. Just imagine the worst possible scenario." His eyes opened wide, and he's starting to realize something. "Trust in the king, Koza," his father said to him, as he saw the king pinned to the wall. "Do you love this kingdom?" Koza's memories uh, kicked in as he saw the spikes holding the king up to the wall. Of course, this is my country, he said. His kid self said, and Koza's brain started to click. Koza, listen. Vivi, who was it that stole the rain from this kingdom? And she looked right up at the roof, and said, "It was all." Ugh, my doing, Koza. And the wind laughed. Woo. And he took a long puff of his cigar. Ach, all the crimes you'd have is blamed on the king. What a trap set by my organization. And for the last 2 years, you've danced very prettily for us, while the royal family and the army tried desperately to stop us. You'd have died a happier man if you hadn't discovered the truth. Ha 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 ha. And suddenly, the blue screen of death popped into Koza's brain, and he stood there, frozen, trying to process it. The buffering time went slower and slower before it caught up to him. Don't listen to him, Koza, the king screamed out. And Koza snapped out of it. Your Majesty, there is something you must do right now. Save as many of our people as you can. He looked right into Koza's eye, and the rebel leader was very absorbed it. He absorbed what the king said. Ugh, in less than a half an hour. Oh, that's Chaka. Chaka, with his arms wide open, spoke up. In less half an hour, the palace square will be the site of a titanic explosion, he said, as blood continued to pour down the side of the walls. What? Koza screamed out. Ah, you're still alive. He aimed the hook right at Chaka's throat. And Koza watched in horror as Chaka, with his arms wide open, screamed out, "Hurry!" And that's when, as Koza ran, just as Koza ran, Chaka, with his arms wide open, went to Tanagra at the hands of Sir Crocodile. Vivi covered her eyes and held back her tears, and immediately followed Koza. Sir Crocodile watched on as she grabbed the rebel leader and pushed him down, screaming, "No!" Vivi, the king said. Let go of me, Vivi. What are you doing? The square's gonna be a battlefield if it's going to be blown up. It won't become a battlefield. You're still too rattled to think straight, she said as she pounded on his chest. If the royal army learns that the square is going to be blown up, chaos will reign. We won't be able to stop the war, and the bloodshed will continue. Isn't that right? And she pushed down into his chest as Sir Crocodile watched on. Ugh, admirable reasoning. There's only one thing to do. This rebellion of his has to stop. Meanwhile, in the streets of Alabama, swords continue to clash and bullets continue to fire. Smoldering buildings began to lit up in flames, and people screaming their final words before dying. Koza sat up as Phoebe pushed herself, shuffled a little bit back to give him some room. And you're the only one who can stop it. But then Sir Crocodile appeared right behind her with his hook wind up, and he said, "Ugh, do you really think I'd stand by and let you do that?" She turned her head back as Koza started to lunge at him with his sword unsheathing, but suddenly Chaka, with his arms wide open, blocked the hook, with blood gushing out of all his wounds. The guardian deity of Alabasta, the jackal. Mm, uh, dang it, who's talking here? Okay. All enemies of the royal family must be destroyed. As long as there's a spark of life in me, I will fight on, he said as blood poured out of his mouth and dripped off his chin. Ah, yes. You're a magnificent fool. Koja, Princess Phoebe, do what you must. I can still stall him for a few minutes, he said as he stumbled a little bit, while holding the hook in place. Right. Uh, Chaka, Koza said as he remembered Chaka in a flashback. Is that all? And you call yourself a leader of the Shan band? Hey, no fair. Go easy on me. What a pest. And after you begged me to teach you, as they continue training fighting with wooden sticks, Koza without hesitation ran off. As reports were coming in from the battlefield. Guard Squad 2 to headquarters. Guard 2 to headquarters. Squad 4 has been wiped out. Squad 4 laid on the streets, smoldering from flames and blood spreading across the street alongside the rebels. The rebels have gotten past the main square and are heading toward North Block. They're approaching the palace. And the wind laughed. Ooh. The palace guards, trying to figure out how to get in there, screamed out, "Raise the white flag, surrender! Raise the white flag now, Royal Army, now!" Princess Phoebe screamed it. Oh, sorry. I didn't pay attention to the lines there, aiming at her. A little dot appeared at the top of the palace walls and screamed out at the Royal Army. Raise the white flag and surrender! Raise the white flag now, Royal Army, now! Princess Baby, what are you saying? Surrender? But what could come of the kingdom? Hey, look there! One of them pointed out as the doors opened up and a person emerged. It's Koza! What's the leader of the rebels doing? Listen to me, he screamed out. We don't want to overthrow the king anymore. Enough lives have been lost. Let's stop this war. And the guards were the army was shocked. They were like, gong. I'm going to inform the rebel forces that this war was wrong. There is no reason to fight anymore. We mustn't shed any more blood. Raise the white flag, I beg you. Meanwhile, the rebels trampling onward through the city streets, screaming out, "The king's head's within reach! I can see the watchtower! Grah! We've reached the palace! Prepare to attack! Ready your weapons!" And that's when they looked up in shock and heard, "Stop!" Huh? And there they were, with white flags in hand and Koza at the center. Every single royal member of the army flapping it in the wind. White flags? The royal army surrendering? Koza! This battle is over, he screamed out. Throw down your weapons, my fellow rebels. The royal army wants peace. Phoebe clenched her, curled up her knuckles. She gritted her teeth, and under her breath she said, "Please stop." And she watched the front line, a no man's land between the army and the rebels. Absolute silence. No one knows what to do. But one of the rebels spoke up. "Are you sure, Koza?" "Yes. The fighting is," and multiple shots pierced through his back and bulged out of his body, and blood spilled all over. He stood there on top of the pot as one of the infiltrators smiled with the rifle in his hand, and the rebels screamed out, "The king's soldiers shot Koza!" To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, chapter 198, 4:15 p.m. Koza slowly fell to his knees as the bullet wounds he got splurted out of his chest, and the white flag that would have stopped the war became soaked in his blood. Vivi screamed out, "Koza!" as she remembered him as a kid. "We're gonna build a great city. We'll make this kingdom even richer than it is now." Koza staring out at the rebels, unable to speak and scream out loud, only thought to himself, "Rebels, don't attack." And the rebels screamed out, "Koza!" And Vivi knew who it was. "Baroque works." And one of the soldiers with the tattoo on, clearly visible on his freaking shoulder, laughed, and Koza collapsed onto the floor as the royal army stared in horror, and the flag landed on the whole thing. One of the army immediately grabbed the traitor by the collar. "You fool! Why did you shoot Koza?" And the wind laughed at the royal army. Ooh. Koza was still breathing, and he struggled, but he was able to scream out loud, "Rebels!" "But the sandstorm!" "Listen!" And the sandstorm started striking the rebels one by one. They're shooting at us! Blast them!" "Rebels, no!" Koza struggled to get his word out, but they weren't listening to him. "I've never seen a dust storm like this. I can't see anything." The whole entire capital became veiled in sand, as the royal army got shot as well. "Those dirty rebels," one of the soldiers said, and the sandstorm laughed. Ooh. For within the sandstorm, as more bullets fired out, members of Baroque Works with their weapons smiled gleefully. "Yeah, Baroque Works has infiltrated both camps. There's no way you can stop this." Phoebe screamed, "No!" One of the rebels held up Koza and looked out. "It was all a trap. The royal army can't be trusted." As the clock continued to tick, ready to explode. "What a dirty trick!" And Phoebe thought to herself, "Please, rebels, listen to me." And she screamed out loud, "Please stop, don't fight." Koza struggled to scream, "Stop, rebels, this battle is." And more shots fired. And one of the soldiers screamed out, "Turn up fire, royal army!" And the battle resumed as no man's land has become a bloody battlefield. Swords clashing, explosions bursting through buildings. Everyone screaming out loud, blood and guts pouring all over the place as the sandstorm continued to mask all the snipers. And it continued on and on as Phoebe watched in horror, and she completely broke down into tears. "Stop." "Oh, you fought well, little girl," Robin said. "But they can't hear you now. All they can hear is their anger." And the king lowered his head. "Is this the end?" As the soldiers continued firing and shooting, and the king screamed out, "Run, Phoebe! Get away from Crocodile!" And she looked out with her arms stretched out, pointed at Sir Crocodile. "No! This storm is your work, isn't it?" And Sir Crocodile took a long puff of his cigar and smiled. He smiled very gleefully. "There's still hope. If I can prevent the explosion..." "Ugh, I can lessen the number of casualties." I thought that was Sir Crocodile. "There's still hope," she said. "If I can prevent the explosion, I can lessen the number of casualties." To which Sir Crocodile replied, If you could do this, you can stop the rebellion. If you do that, you can stop the rebellion. And he immediately grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off her feet. Wake up, princess. Ah! Your idealism makes me want to vomit. She struggled to break free from his grip as his fingers curled around her neck. Only those with true power can afford to have ideals. I don't care what you think, she said as tears poured out of her eyes. I'll never abandon my ideals. A monster like you could never understand, she said. She continued as her legs twiddled above the ground. As princess, I am responsible for the welfare of my people. I will never yield to you. Ugh, what a brat you are. I will save this. And the crowd roared as more explosions plumed up into the air. Swords stabbing people, bellies slit open, gunshots blowing heads off clean off the shoulders, and the wind laughed. Woo! As the bomb continued to tick down to its time slot, the king screamed out, "Vivi!" Answered Crocodile without a care in the world. Took a puff of smoke. Ugh, the square is going to be destroyed in 15 minutes, and the rebels are still gathering in here. They're pushing blindly to the doom. Vivi slapped his wrist, struggling to break free from his grip on her neck. As he walked her right to the edge and dangled her over the side. If you had warned the royal army of the explosion earlier, it might have caused a panic, but you could have saved thousands of lives. Enough! The king screamed out. Please, Crocodile, stop this madness. Your naive belief that you can save everyone will only result in the annihilation of your beloved people. And she thinks about what her townspeople went through. This is death's powder, a citizen said. I've been laughing at you people from the very beginning. This kingdom is full of fools. You cannot. It's too dangerous, Igarapoy said in her flashback. You spied on my organization for 2 years. Well done, child. Don't recognize me? Well, I guess I have lost a little, Toto said. A very old Toto said in her flashback. But in the end, all your efforts were in vain. Your wishful attempts to pacify the rebels and save the kingdom only multiplied the death toll. This kingdom is doomed, and you can't save it. He took a long puff of smoke, and it struck her face as tears dripped down her cheeks. And he released her, and she watched in anger as she fell. And the king was too powerless to run and save her as he remained pinned to the wall. She closed her eyes, embracing death as her crocodile laughed out loud. And Princess Vivi stretched her arms wide open as the crocodile continued to laugh and laugh until he saw something in the air. The sun blinding him from what was diving down. It was a pair of wings, and he watched as he tried to figure out what it was. And it was Luffy on the back of a large bird with a big barrel attached to his back. It's a crocodile, struggling to see who it is, finally got vision as the wind laughed at him. Woo! And a bulging, veined, muscular Luffy with darkness of anger failing his eyes, freaked Sir Crocodile out as a vein bulged in his forehead. Impossible! Crocodile! Luffy screamed out as he dove straight for Vivi, and she screamed back, Luffy! You still are hot. And the wind laughed at everyone. Woo! To be continued, One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 199, Hope. as Luffy dove with the eagle on his back, with the riding the eagle and getting closer and closer and closer to Vivi, closing the gap real fast. He caught her and pulled her in, wrapping his arms around her, and she wrapped her arms around his. Phew, dude, I made it in time, he said, and the bird immediately soared upward as Vivi felt the pressure force of the momentum pushing her further into Luffy's arms, and the wind laughed. Ooh, Luffy, pal. She cried. There's no time. There's going to be a huge explosion in the square. Everyone will be killed. No one can hear my pleas. Alabaster is. Don't worry. Pell spoke. No, Luffy spoke. Don't worry, dude. I can hear your voice. He smiled so gleefully, and she looked at that smile in shock. No fear in his eyes, no fright. Lots of confidence brimming like the sun itself. As the crowd continued on roaring below and more explosions puffed into the air, she immediately closed her eyes and hugged him, and tears filed out like a waterfall, and the wind laughed. Ooh. They landed. And Pell said, "Why am I carrying you? I'm more injured than you are." Quit complaining, dude. You're a man, aren't you? I hurt my leg. I can't. I can't even stand up. Now shut up and run. Oh, I feel so faint. Faker. Be careful, Luffy. I ate a lot of meat, Luffy said as he held the giant barrel up on his back. Now I'm itching for a fight. There's no way, Pell said as he stood there watching horror. And Vivi. Oh, there's no way. And Vivi listened on. I can lose, dude. And he looked right on up the side of the wall and saw Sir Crocodile staring down at him, taking a puff of his cigar. And the wind laughed. Ooh. Ugh, how did you get out of the quicksand? He made the ashes fall out of the cigar, and Luffy stretched his arms back. Ah! Chopper screamed out, Luffy's alive! Chopper! What? Luffy? And Vivi is here too. Luffy was stretching his arms back. The whole entire crew finally arrived. See, did I tell you? Usopp screamed out. I knew all along. Really? Chopper said with naive. And Sanji shook his head in disbelief. Sure you did. Usopp, Sanji. Oh, Vivi, what happened to you? Your heart? Oh my gosh. Sorry. Sanji screams out, Vivi, what happened to your heart? And as Nami arrived, marched right on up and bashed Usopp in the back of the head with the baton. Ah, Usopp! Oh! Nami! Mr. Bushido! You're all okay! I asked you to make me the weapon, not the party forever! She screamed out as she held the staff in place. I thought you couldn't stand up. Nami! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I just caught that. Nami. Only Nami. Meanwhile, as Zolo screamed in absolute anger as blood poured out from carrying Nami across the entire street of the capital, she marched right towards Usopp, pointing at him in anger. But you figured it out in the end, right? He waved his hand in fear of getting beaten up even more. When this is all over, you're dead! She screamed out, and Usopp completely collapsed. Oh, please, Chopper, bury my roommates in the wilderness. Oh, she's a killed you. Chopper says he tended to tended to Usopp. Oh, what's the situation, baby? What's with this dust storm? She looked around at the air. Hey, you. Why is Nami? Hey, you! Sanji stared at Zolo. Why is Nami injured? How could you? Oh, she's fine. Zolo said as blood splurted out of his wounds, and he pointed at her. Sorry, guys. That dude beat me out in the desert, Luffy said, catching everyone's attention as his arm stretching all the way up to the roof. But I won't lose again. Take care of things here, dudes. Go, Luffy. Go get him, Zolo said. If you can't beat him, who can? And the whole crew smiled. Let's end this, once and for all. For great righteousness. And the entire pirate crew screamed out, yeah! And Vivi cried, thinking, that's right, I'm not fighting alone anymore. And Pell, back in his human form, bloodied up from his previous fight, smiled. And Luffy screamed out, Croc, dude! And he shot up into the air with the barrel on his back as Sir Crocodile watched on. Croc! Luffy screamed out as the force of the wind pulled his cheeks back and exposed his large teeth. Ugh. Swing until you're blue in the face. You'll never hit me. And the wind laughed. Ooh. As he got closer and closer and started running up the stairs. Must I skewer you again? Sir Crocodile said as Luffy's muscle bulged up and veins popped out. He started to turn into sand, ready for Luffy's next attack. But he was too late. Luffy was so fast, he delivered a punch squared in the face and made Crocodile not only stumble but splurt blood out of his mouth. And Sir Crocodile stumbled and fell and tumbled as he watched in horror as Luffy skidded back onto his feet and started spinning his legs up and continued his assault just as Sir Crocodile fell. Gum gum. And the king screamed out, "Who is that?" Sir Crocodile got back on his feet, using the hook as leverage. Ugh, blasted aunt. But it was too late. Luffy's long arms clutched his shoulders, and Luffy was spinning like a wheel, screaming "Jump!" as he swirled with his leg. Sir Crocodile struggled to break free. Ugh, impossible. Did that kid? And Luffy screamed out "Buzzer!" as he got right into Sir Crocodile's face, and his feet struck him square in the jaw and sent him flying again. Luffy somersaulted back onto his feet as he smiled, "He he he, Tomp," and landed on one leg, striking a JoJo pose. Sir Crocodile laid across the ground, shocking the king. He toppled Crocodile. Luffy caught his breath as he cricked his knuckles, and Robin watched on with a little smile. Meanwhile, everyone down below was still fighting, killing each other, not listening a single word to what anybody was saying. Luffy said two simple words: "Get up." As the clock continued ticking, and Sir Crocodile smiled, and And he remembered what he had done to Luffy. I figured it out back there. He remembered holding Luffy up with his hook. When the water from Yuba soaked your arm, I could grab it. If water touches you, Oh, okay. Sorry, that's Luffy. As he remembered what he did back there. I figured it out, dude. Back there, when the water was from Yuba soaked your arm, I could grab it. If water touches you, you can't turn to sand. And he started squirting more water from the barrel tank onto his arm. That's why you stole the rain, dude. Good one, boy. You're afraid of water. Now I can hit your unrighteous butt. Get ready for a real fight, Sandman. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 200, Water Luffy. Usopp screamed down his bandage, "Find the guy who's gonna set off the explosion? But how?" As he looked up at the clock tower, ticking down further. There's no time to think. We only have 10 minutes. But if the blast is 3 miles in diameter, Vivi, then he's got to be shooting from at least a mile and a half right away. No. She looked up at the clock. I'm sure whoever is going to set off the explosion is near the square. But if he's that close, won't he blow himself up? Ugh, what else would you expect from that clock jerk? He'd sacrifice his own people, Chopper said. And Vivi grimaced. Sanji spoke. He's despicable! And Pell is doing something. I don't know what it is, but it's such a weird panel. It's a weird panel. Solo turned around and spoke. Then we'd better. And his sword clanged with the rebel's sword, and Sanji delivered a kick to his face, and blood splurted out of his mouth as he stumbled back. Ah! Usopp screamed. And there they were, Baroque works, the millions and the billions, all together. Found your Princess Vivi. If we bring back your head, we'll all get big promotions. The billions! 10 minutes minus how many seconds will this take? Don't waste time talking, Solo replied to Sanji. And they both looked at the Baroque works and said together, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. And they began to fight the billions as Chopper turned into a reindeer. Usopp running completely injured with Nami and Vivi. Pell flying through the air as a bird. Ugh, we're going on ahead. Graw! Solo screamed out. Ooh! Sanji kicked. Everyone, scatter everyone. But first, let's get out of this dust storm. 10 minutes, Vivi thought to herself. And Zolo and Sanji split apart. Hurry, let's go too. Yeah! As they finished dispatching the billions and leaving them completely sprawled on the ground, completely injured and groaning. This is the moment of truth, Vivi thought to herself as she ran by herself. This kingdom's fate will be decided. As the clock ticked down, closer to 9 minutes left. In 10 minutes, she said. And meanwhile, back at the top of the palace, the wind laughed. Ooh. And Sir Crocodile huffed and huffed for a while as Luffy threw his hat to the ground and sprayed some more water on himself. Ugh, you again. Do you really think you're going to beat me? He laughed as he sat up and started to get on his feet. That's right, dude. I'm surprised you figured out my weakness in the circumstances, huh? But there's no way you'd be able to defeat me, boy. You're not in my league. You're not even a player. I am one of the 7 warlords of the sea. If you're one of the 7 warlords of the sea, then I'm the 8th warlord of the sea. And everyone went silent to the sound of bong. And the king let out a sigh. Who is this lad?
He's a pirate. I guess you haven't heard. It looks like he saved the princess's life again.
Then he is the one who brought Vivi back to Alabasta. Robin laughed. And Luffy wound up his punch, gum gum, and shot it at the at Crocodile. Pistol! But Sir Crocodile dodged it with ease. Ugh, what good is that if you can't hit me? Even if it's wet. He grabbed Luffy's arm and held onto it. He crushed it slowly, making the veins bulge out. Luffy struggled to pull it back. Ugh, my palm could suck the moisture out of anything. And Luffy's arm started to shrivel into a raisin. Rats, dude. I forgot about that trick. As usual, Luffy forgets everything. But he was able to stretch out his leg and ready for a kick. The Sir Crocodile said as he turned into sand, and Luffy passed right through him. Whoa, dude. And Luffy drank some more water. Drank some more water and got back to his feet. You said it yourself, dude. Double fruit powers are only as strong as the person using them. And he started spraying more water all over his body. Gum gum, pistol. And he stretched his arm out. But this time he put a tug and started spinning it around. Going boing, 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 boing. Shotgun! And he threw out a million orders at Sir Crocodile. And he struck him on the side. Oof. Very clever, boy. Now's my turn. Desert Spider. And he turned into sand and threw a sharp line of bladed sand at him. That again, dude. Luffy immediately shrunk his body into a two-dimensional flat paper, and between him and the barrel, wedging himself between the barrel and the blast, it flew and destroyed a piece of the castle walls, sending debris down below onto the battle below. That was close, dude. He looked at the chasm as the wind laughed. Ooh. Gum gum. Luffy shot out his attack, but this time he leaned forward with his legs stretched back. Ugh, the same trick over and over again. They expect to beat me like that, boy. Yep. Luffy suddenly popped up right in front of him. Full body with a full force of physics behind him. I know I will, dude. The Crocodile was shocked as the punch struck Sir Crocodile in the face again, and he was sent stumbling onto the ground. His face screeched all along the floor as Luffy picked up the barrel. This was my plan from the start, dude. To get you soaking wet. And he threw the barrel right at him. Ugh, I expected that. Huh? Sabers. And a whole burst of sand pushed into Luffy in the barrel. Gwa, dude. And Luffy flew over the edge with the barrel. The barrel, dude. The barrel. He quickly grabbed it with his arms and immediately got himself back onto his feet and landed on the edge. Ugh. Sir Crocodile laughed. Ha 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 ha. Ah, you seem desperate to the heart. Without that battle, you're helpless, which means this battle will end exactly as our first one did. Ha ha ha. You're right, dude. Huh? This is the same as before. The king went, ah. And the barrel broke into many pieces. How's this then? I'm no longer the same. Ugh, you're unhinged. Water Luffy. There. Water Luffy's was completely bloated like a balloon. His body shaped like a water drop. All the water sloshing within him. I sprung a leak. The water started splurting out of his belly button. Sir Crocodile thought, ugh, this is full serious. Oh boy, I got a water belly. Maybe I drank too much. And Robin laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha. Boy, don't you realize the trouble you're in? Are you mocking me? Sir Crocodile said as the skirmish continued down below and the clock kept ticking past its ninth minute. I'll teach you to play around with me, boy. And he immediately charged at him as Luffy sucked water up through his neck and into his mouth and went blurp, dude. And water splashed right into Sir Crocodile's face, soaked in water with spit and other gross stuff. Blast. Who's playing around, dude? My body. I'm always serious, dude. Gum gum. Bazooka! And Luffy lunged right into Sir Crocodile's belly and pressed his palms right into the diaphragm. And Sir Crocodile's head lurched back and blood splurted out of his mouth. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Well, aside from chapter 196, the other four were actually pretty good. Moved along nicely and everything. But it's feeling very chaotic with the panels. But chapter 196 was the worst. Very, very bad. I don't even know why it's titled 1, given the way the whole entire chapter played out. But this was terrible, quite honestly. Like I've never seen anything like that in One Piece to date, and very disappointed. You know, we got the whole rebellion going on out of nowhere, and it caught me off guard. I didn't even realize it, but you know, you had these little silhouettes popping up, and I don't remember this group, the Kicking Claw Force, ever making any appearance prior to it. I don't remember seeing this group anywhere in the during this whole entire arc. I don't understand why this group even exists to begin with. This basically padded the whole chapter here. This chapter went really all over the place. There was no focus, and this is part of it. You know what I'm saying? We have this no-name group called the Kicking Claw Force, and they took a page straight out of Monty Python's Life of Brian, when the what was the name of that group? The Liberation Front. That Liberation Front showed up to Brian, and and they basically stabbed themselves for some dumb reason. That's what these guys did. They you know, they didn't even show them drinking a potion. They just flexed these muscles out of nowhere. Let me show you again. They flex these muscles with the hashtag marks on here, and all of a sudden, Chaka is like, "No, you're gonna kill yourselves." It's like, what? Completely throw me off. And of course, Sir Crocodile didn't have to do a dang thing. He just jumped right on up to the roof, and they just die. Like, what in the Monty Python is this? What were we presented here? These no-named fighters. They're supposed to be the best of the best, and they pull a Life of Brian moment here by doing all this. Like, wow, this is terrible. This is by far the worst episode, the worst chapter I've seen in One Piece to date. One, and mind you that all the other chapters previously that had the numbers on them was focused on that number from Baroque Works. You know, when it said 3, we were focused on Mr. 3. When it said 2, we were focused on Mr. 2. This was supposed to be focused on Mr. 1, and we got nothing out of this. Chaka flies on up, but he ends up off screen, get beaten up. And this is the only time we ever get to see the titular title of this chapter, 1, in which Mr. 1 collapses, and then that's it. I thought he was going to, stand up and be like, haha, like the typical shonen thing. Instead, he just collapses, and this is the only set of pages, the only set of panels that involves him. I don't get it. And then it just went chaotic the rest of the way as we focused on the rest of the crew. But to make matters worse, it was hard to tell what was what here. Like, it really went all over the place. So, okay, we jump back to here because Sanji, Usopp, and Chopper are together with eyelashes. And all of a sudden, they do a quick flashback. Why is this flashback here? Why is this 2-panel flashback exist? It doesn't make any sense. I thought that they all reunited. I thought they were all reunited, but they didn't. This is a flashback. Everything is just so sudden, and it really threw me off. It sounded very bad. And then after that 2-panel flashback, we get 3 panels of Nami, then a panel. It's all over the place. It's all over the place, and then it goes into another flashback. You know what I'm saying? It was just too many. Like, what was going on here? What's going on here? Now so after that 2-panel flashback, we're back in the present. Then we jump over to here. Then she's walking away. Then Nami starts walking away. Then we back to a flashback. Another 4-panel. This was a 6-panel flashback. You get what I'm saying? And then this was terrible. This was terrible. This was terrible. Definitely the worst chapter. 196. 196 is a terrible chapter. And then off panel, we don't even get a fight to see how these two fight, Chaka and Crocodile. So all that panel was an absolute waste. We could have just had this, just this fight between Chaka and Sir Crocodile. And that would have been sufficient. But instead we had all these randomized all this randomized stuff. Terrible chapter. I don't know what they were going for, what Oda-san and his team was going for at that time. But yeah. Now we finally get focused with 197 with Koza showing up, and it's kind of actually this was fine. Like I said, this was fine because Koza shows up and he's finally getting clued in on what was happening. Like, he's finally seeing what's going on here. And for some dumb reason, Sir Crocodile went ahead and revealed everything. But you know what? It seems dumb at first, but there was a payoff, actually. I gotta say, there was a payoff. But again, he's not reading the room, and he's screaming out, "Who stole the rain?" I guess he wants the truth. I guess the confusion. Yeah, because like Robin said, he's confused, and he just wants the truth for once. You know what? Fair enough. You know what I'm saying? That's a fair reaction. That's a fair reaction. And Sir Crocodile, for some dumb reason, said, "Yeah, I'm the one." Instead of, let me put it like this: he has the king pinned in. People were buying into Sir Crocodile, and for some dumb reason, Sir Crocodile's like, "I did it," when he could have said the king did it, since he has the king pinned in. He has the king pinned to the wall. He could have easily lied to Koza right there and then, and said, the king's the one who did it. I captured him. I had he fought me. I had to pin him because he was dangerous. He almost killed the princess. He could have easily said all of that. That would have been perfect. Koza would have bought into it. He could have said that Chaka tried to kill me. That's why he's lying like this, because they were so gullible enough to listen to the warlord of the sea. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be like a cop. He's supposed to be like a cop, a guard, a defender of the peace, you know what I'm saying, in exchange for, not getting arrested for being a pirate, a buccaneer, so to speak. And he could have easily, right there and then, told Koza that it was the king who did it, and he caught him, and justice will be served. He could have said, "Justice will be served." Koza would have bought into it, and then he could have easily, stabbed him. You know, saying no matter what Vivi would have said would have convinced Koza at this point because he was too blinded in rage, and Sir Crocodile could have killed Koza right there and then, perfect, and that would have been it. Then he could have held Koza's carcass. You know, then he could have carried Koza like oh my gosh, he's been martyred. You know, the king killed him. Then he could have said Chaka killed Koza, I killed Chaka. You know, saying justice will be served and continue the whole rebellion right then and there. That would have been perfect. That would have been perfect right there and then. But no, he was written admitting the whole thing, and I don't know. I mean, Sir Crocodile has been written as an idiot ball carrier of the idiot ball at this point. So it doesn't really surprise me, but somehow I don't know. It still managed to work. I don't know. Somehow it still managed to work. And of course, Koza started running, and Vivi's like, I don't know. I mean, it's okay. You know, she's being rational about the situation. She was being rational about the situation, but you know, Chaka with his arms wide open still had life in him and was able to block. And I don't know. Everything. The dialogue threw me off a little bit because I couldn't tell who's who because the arrows are not pointing in the right direction. But ultimately, more. You know, Vivi was able to get the crowd to stop, and Koza came out, told the rebel forces to raise the the white flag, you know, so that way they could stop the rebels, and you know, he admitted that the war was wrong. He was gonna stop the whole thing, but they need to raise the white flag to calm the mob. Makes sense, you know. That's a plausible plan. If you raise the white flag of surrender, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, they did. They did, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel overall. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not that bad because the plan worked. I just don't know. I mean, I know the Baroque Works person is dressed as a soldier. I'm just trying to understand how the rebels. I don't know. The rebels are in such a fit of rage. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you would think that even you know what? Somebody amongst the crowd was gonna still scream out. They killed Koza. The soldiers shot Koza and still incite the whole and still go wild over the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I feel like this arc, you know, is derailing to an extent, but it's trying to hold on to the rails. Like it's really trying to hold on to the rails, but um, I feel like it's not off the rails, but it's hanging on by a thread by the rails, you know, because it's really hinging on so many weird circumstances and this crazy emotional randomness. Because 198, you know, the crowd watched Koza fall, and you know they're ready to attack again. The guards, of course, grabbed the Baroque Works guy. It's like, have they not figured out that that's Baroque Works? I mean, do they not see the tattoo? It's wide open. See, because that's the thing that boggles my mind. That confuses me so much. The approach to this writing, not so much the approach to writing, but the drawings itself. Because the guy has his Baroque Works tattoo wide open. If this would have stayed covered, if that would have stayed covered, and this soldier over here pulled it, you know, when he pulled the collar, revealed the Baroque Works, then he could have been like, it's Baroque Works, but it would have been too late to note that, and then the rebellion would have continued. Meanwhile, Koza is screaming out. I guess they couldn't hear him because everybody's roaring. Fair enough. Fair enough. Especially when the sandstorm kicks in. I say fair enough. You know what I'm saying? He's screaming as loud as he could with all his strength that remains. And all right, you know. But I'm surprised one of them didn't run up to Koza because the guards would not have done anything. Um, but then again, Baroque Works is firing guns. They would have shot the first rebel that would have ran to Koza. Um, yeah, okay. You know what? Okay, it could happen. That's a possibility that could happen. I would have wrote it like that. Um, you know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, the dust storm. You know, there's a dust storm. The clock is ticking because the bomb's about to go off. The Billions made their move, and but I gotta say, this is a good panel here. This is a good panel. You know, nice splash page there. You know, the horses, the soldiers, the idiot ball. I don't know. I feel like this all of this hinged on an idiot ball um, for this to happen. I think the Alabaster arc needed a little more time to cook because this is an excellent arc. You know, it's a very good arc. This is a great adventure going on here for Luffy and the crew. You know, everything was working fine up until Crocodile decided to do the Doctor Evil monologue. I think a little bit more time needed to cook because this was very big, very epic, very ambitious. It's a very ambitious thing. I guess this was I guess it's safe to say this was Oda's first go at doing something of this scale. I think it's safe to say that like this is an army versus rebellion type of situation here, and he's showing the battle and everything. Um, and I think this is his first time doing something this big and this epic, and I could let it slide because it's the first time. But I hope that the next arc that does something of this grand scale will be a lot more focused and a lot more refined. You know, more time into writing. You know, is taken into account. You know, rewriting over and over again to straighten it all out. Because from this point forward, it's just you know Vivi crying as the war going on here. Um, you know, Sir Crocodile here ready to kill her off once and for all as the skirmish went on down below. Um, you know, mm, yeah, and again, these panels, these single panel flashbacks. Uh, it, honestly, honestly, these three panels that are doing the flashbacks, I don't think was necessary. This I really would have liked this. Well, one full panel with him holding her over the edge, and one full panel with Chaka and the claw, the four claws. That would have been fine. We didn't need all of this flashbacking. Um, yeah, I think this was Oda-san's first big scale, um, big scale epic, big scale arc, and it really shows that he was very new to pulling this off. Ultimately, Vivi was dropped, was let go. She's fallen to death, and Luffy shows up with Pell, in his bird form. So yeah. I don't know how much more I can say um, at this point here because you know he makes an epic save. Luffy makes an epic save. You know he assures her everything's gonna be fine. That he can hear her voice. Epic. Um, shows confidence that he won't lose. He's coming in with a big giant barrel. Um, he's staring down Sir Crocodile. Everybody finally shows up. Like everybody shows up. Now they find out that he's alive. We get a comedic moment with Nami bashing Usopp for making a bad thing. Um, of course, they throw in the joke that Zolo carried her. I guess it's fair enough to say, yeah, okay. Also, is it just me or did Nami's waist get a lot more thinner? Got way more thinner. I don't know. Looks a lot way more thinner. I mean, I know she was out in the desert with very little water, but um, why do I don't know. Feels like she got a lot more thinner. Uh, you know, and yeah, the Straw Hat Pirates are now going to end this, and we get the fight. We finally get the rematch between Luffy and Sir Crocodile. This is such a beautiful shot here, drawn. Look at the cigar flying, and he's doing this with a barrel on his back, full of crazy water. That you know how heavy a barrel of water is, and the veins bulging. It's very good. I could really feel the impact of the hit. It's really nice. It's nicely done, and so we get nothing but endless fighting with Luffy. We find out Luffy figured it out that Sir Crocodile. Um, I'm trying to understand the rules here. Is it salt water or regular water that affects devil fruit users? Because it's I feel like the rule got convoluted here. Is it regular water, salt water, or just water in general? Whether it's salt or regular water. This is actually very important. The rules need to be straightened out here because that's regular water. You know what I'm saying? That's it's not salient. It's not salt. And you're telling me that regular water affects Sir Crocodile, but salt water can also affect Sir Crocodile. But then why doesn't the water affect Luffy? If that's the case, if this is regular water and it's, I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on here with this rule. It's very contradictory. Either salt water is the only thing that affects them, which means then this regular water should not affect Sir Crocodile. If it's regular water, and if it's salt water, Luffy should not be able to stretch. In fact, he should be collapsing because that sea salt sword that Smoker used on him, pinned Luffy to the ground. Like he couldn't move. Period. And every time he touched the bars that were made out of it, and that's why Sir Crocodile couldn't touch it. But now we have regular water, and he's saying regular water affects him. Now, the only other way I can think of, is that because he's sand, he muddies up. Now, that's the logic. I think that needed to be a little more clearer, and that means that Sir Crocodile has double the weakness because as sand he can muddy up, what I'm saying, like we cake up like sand does, making him easy to get hit, as well as the sea salt pinning him down. That would make a lot of sense if that was a little bit more clearer, and that regular water doesn't affect Gum users, only salt water. Any water with salt in it, salt based water would have an effect on the Gum users. That needs to be elaborated a little more here because it's kind of weird seeing this. It's very weird seeing this. It looks contradictory. It needs to be a little bit more clearer here. It needs to be a little bit more clearer. It's just too weird. It's contradicting the world rules regarding devil fruit and devil fruit users and water. So yeah, chapter 200, yay, 200, big celebration. This is a big celebration. I didn't think I'd make it this far, but yeah, chapter 200. Big fight with Luffy, but yeah, the Straw Hat Pirates, are getting their things set. Pell, I don't know what the heck he's doing in that panel up there. I have no idea what that is, what he's doing. I don't know why he's JoJo posing at this point, but yeah, they got there's nothing they could do about the rebellion. They can't stop it. They can't stop this skirmish. They got to focus on stopping the bomber. And with 10 minutes to go, all of them agreed to split up and find him, even though they have no idea who he is, what he looks like, or how they can tell who it is. The Billions show up, of course. The Billions show up and got dispatched very easily by Sanji and Zolo in less than a panel. Like I said, takes 2 seconds, and that's what they did. I gotta say, this was a pretty funny panel. I like this panel. This is a pretty funny panel with Sanji and Zolo in the background, just beating them up so easily, just like that. But yeah, so we got the Straw Hat crew scattered to deal with the bomb issue. Meanwhile, Luffy is fighting Sir Crocodile. I really like what Luffy said. You know, Sir Crocodile is like, I am the seventh warlord of the sea. I am amazing. I am great. I am powerful. And Luffy's like, yeah, I'm the eighth. He's like, I'm the eighth then. I'm the eighth warlord of the sea. And everybody was just completely silent on that one. It's a weird comeback. In universe, it's a weird comeback. But you know what? If the seven warlords are going to act like this, then yeah, you may as well declare yourself the eighth warlord and you could take them down. That's fair enough, I mean, it could be tiring, that seeing the seven warlords who's supposed to be working with the Navy, doing something this dumb. I like that. I like that setup too, because that could be a foreshadowing of Luffy being a warlord of the sea. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's not even though his the crimes that they're mostly doing is petty crimes. They're spending more time protecting people. He's doing the job of the seven warlords way better than Sir Crocodile is doing. Sir Crocodile is causing up all kinds of problems. Meanwhile, Luffy is acting like a seven warlord of the sea and actually helping people out everywhere he goes. They still steal. They still take things for free. You know what I'm saying? But it's all petty crimes, basically. They're not conquering a whole town and tormenting them like what Sir Crocodile is doing. I could totally see that happening later down the line. Him becoming one of the seven warlords of the sea, and he's busy looking for the One Piece. But being a seven warlord of the sea, you know what I mean? I could see that. I could totally see that. That would be pretty cool. I like that. I like that idea. Him eventually becoming a seven warlord of the sea, especially with Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Because him and Kobe are tight. Basically, I could see that working. Him and Kobe working together. You know what I mean? And keep in mind that, being a seven warlord of the sea, you're still allowed to do piracy. They'll turn a blind eye so long as you do your job and keep the peace. And Sir Crocodile's not doing his job and not keeping the peace. And we get some crazy fights, some inventive moves like Luffy flinging his fist and then grabbing his arm and then twirling it around so it looked like a bunch of Oras coming at him. Desert Spada once again thrown and blows up the side of the building. Luffy almost losing the water, and then he comes up with a crazy plan. The titular title of the chapter, Water Luffy. Of course, that got Robin to laugh because he started leaking out. She's really having an affinity for him, that's for sure. But yeah, ultimately, Luffy pulls off what he planned to do. Got Sir Crocodile covered in water and delivered a big blow because Sir Crocodile was now unable to turn into grainy sand. He's now mud. So, wow, 200 chapters. 200 chapters. That's freaking amazing. I gotta say, these 100 chapters, 101 to 200. Entering the Grand Line was great. Seeing so many different aspects of the Grand Line. Giant Dino Island with two giants always fighting each other. Alabaster. Meeting Baroque Works. the world build really, like, the world got bigger these past 100 chapters, 101 to 200. The world got real big, and even the creatures got bigger. How the Grand Line works is so fascinating, because it's got a soft spot. Here we go. Because remember after episode chapter 100, I filled out, this whole chart. This is how far along I've gotten, because I made this little chart once they enter the Grand Line, so I can understand how the Grand Line works. It's got the calm belt. Then there's the red line. It's pretty. It's pretty amazing how far along I came from that point to now, and there's still more world to go. I mean, this is 200. There's 1,100 chapters written so far, and so I feel like I haven't scratched the surface yet. We had some good fights. We had some bad fights. We have some weirdos, weird things. Zolo chopping his leg while they were turning to wax. Oh yeah, the whole wax thing with Mr. 3. The giant fishes. That one guppy waiting for whoever it was. It looks like Shanks. At the start of the start of the Grand Line, finding out that the Grand Line changes seasons constantly. Kureha, oh man, Kureha and Chopper. That was a great story. Wapple's weird, and we got to see more of how the Gum Gum fruit freaking works with Wapple and them. Like it's an amazing adventure. I feel like Alabama had great potential and was completely, I wouldn't say ruined, I wouldn't say derailed, because this was a big epic, and I feel like this was Oda's first attempt at doing war at a war level type of thing. It's a rebellion. It's not like full on war, but it is warlike, and this looks like this was his first attempt at it, and it shows. And hopefully, these mistakes that were made here were improved upon and eradicated in later arcs, especially of this size. And yeah. There's still more Alabasta arc to go. It's still more Alabasta arc to go, but 200 chapters in is great. I'm so happy, that I got this far, that I got as far as I did, and I'm happy for and I'm happy that y'all were entertained. I'm glad that I've entertained as best as I could. It's very tough. This is very tough, but it's a grind, and try to get better and better every step of the way. And I thank each and every one of you who's joined me this far, 200 chapters in to One Piece. Really appreciate all the support, all the views. There will be more to come. Most definitely, there will be more to come. But nevertheless, we gotta finish up this arc. We gotta finish this arc up. So, yeah. Comment, like, subscribe, follow. You want to. And head on over to Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and grab yourself a copy of The Impossible Man, a strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links to the book in the description down below, along with links to other merch such as pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Please enjoy the products. Thank you for your patronage. And thank you for those who purchase the book and do YouTube videos about it. Whether it's fan theories or lore dives. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing those videos. And if you're interested, you can join me on my live multi-stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to hanging out with you. So until the next set of chapters of One Piece, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night. Buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.